Hello there, my name is the Jonin Monkey, and welcome to this playthrough of Fire Emblem and the Sacred Stones for the Game Boy Advance. Yay, my first ever Game Boy Advance playthrough. Sorry, I'll try and be professional now. This was the third in a trilogy of Fire Emblem games made for the Game Boy Advance. The other two were Sealed Swords, which was only released in Japan, which is actually kind of odd because the protagonist of the Sealed Sword was Roy, and the whole reason why Roy was in Super Smash Bros. Melee in the first place was to advertise the imminent release of that game. So it seems kind of weird that they didn't release it over here, but that's just a small irritation I have with Nintendo. The other was released over here as Fire Emblem, which kind of confuses continuity, and here we are with Sacred Stones, the 8th Fire Emblem game, and it's one that's had mixed reviews. And with me, there's some stuff I like about it, some stuff I don't, but I'll get into more detail. Now, this is explaining the epic backstory behind this game. Although, I'll be honest, this is one of the elements I wouldn't say I dislike it, but I have a kind of vague problem with it. It's sort of, this is probably one of the less creative of the Fire Emblem games, as this kind of setup, it's not that original. I mean, basically what it's saying is, on the continent of Magville, there was once a horde of monsters led by a demon king, and then several powerful MacGuffins, known as the Sacred Stones, was able to seal him away, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so it's not the most original. I mean, to be fair, a lot of Fire Emblem games have used the whole cliche of war in empires and dragon slaying, but a lot of them all I had intelligent writing to make up for it, and in some cases there were a lot of Fire Emblem games that broke the cliches. I mean, sorry, a motorbike just went past very loudly. Crud, lost my trail of thought. But yeah, this is just introducing us to the continents, and to pick up where I was leaving off, Fire Emblem 7, or just Fire Emblem as it's known in the West, see what I mean about confusing continuity, it had introduced the first female lord or main character. It also introduced the first axe-wielding male lord. It wasn't set in the situation right here, which is basically several countries are at war with each other. And then when you get to the GameCube Fire Emblem games, especially Radiant Dawn, man, you have got so much new stuff and new ideas there, it's crazy. But I'm doing this game. It's not entire hatred though, it's just that there are some elements I dislike it compared to the other games, but this kind of still manages to hold up on its own, and there are some elements and characters I like about it. But yeah, what you've basically missed, it's my raving, is that we have set up an entire system of 7 countries set up, and only one of them is a republic, which has elected leaders. Everything else is a theocracy, or run by kings and queens if you prefer. Well, for some reason there's only one nation that's actually willing to admit it, which is the which is kind of strange, since technically they're all theocracies, but everyone's saying, no, we're not a theocracy, we're a kingdom! What's the difference? We're kingdoms! I don't know. But anyway, in case you haven't guessed, the evil empire has suddenly gone mad and is now invading whatever country is next to it, which is Renee's. And, ironically, Renee's is where our main characters are. So, yeah, it's not going very well. Gardo are basically laying waste to all of their forces quickly, seizing one territory after another, and to confound the king's worries, his son, the talented and apparently intelligent Prince Emphraim, has suddenly gone missing. Why? Because he's a douche after military glory. And now they're all advancing on Gardo Castle, where all of Ephraim's family are there. Yes, well done, Emphraim, well done. That was really well thought out, wasn't it? Anyway, this is the prologue, or the training level, The Fall of Renee's. Don't think you'll be seeing any gameplay though. I'll be honest, this first part is entirely cutscenes. Your Majesty, I bear bad news. What is it, generic NPC? Yeah. Emperor Vigarde's horses are already in the castle, and King Vado is pretty much willing to accept his fate at this point. Yeah. Generally, when the game starts off with an invasion, it never looks good for the rulers of the country being invaded. Their offspring, usually the younger ones, are the ones who survive and manage to make it off to other places. But it's not doing very well now. And speaking of offspring, here is Erika, who is one of the two lords, or main characters. Basically, the lord is always the main character in the Fire Emblem series, with the exception of the two GameCube games. But I digress. Basically, she is one of the main characters of this game, and Seth is her faithful paladin companion, or as many Fire Emblem characters call them, Jagans. For those of you who don't know, basically there are some like character stocks that always keep recurring throughout Fire Emblem games, starting with the first one. And Jagan was a paladin who started out incredibly strongly and acted as the mentor figure for Marth, but as time went on, his stats became incredibly weak and he was proven useless. And yeah, every single game has had a Jagan character, and Seth is it in this game. Although, strangely enough, his stats are slightly higher than a normal Jagan, so he kind of started a thread where the Jagan can actually be a good character if trained right. But yeah, the army is invaded, and King Fado is about to accept his own death. And normally I hate to give away spoilers, but let's be honest, he's dead. He's pretty much dead. There's no surviving for him. King Fado is now dead. So I hope you weren't attached to him in the short time you knew him. And anyways, now these two have to flee for their life. Nice, but here we go. It's another boss, and well, he's a boss later in the game, but there is another stock character. Now, whenever you get bosses, you can either make them interesting characters, or if you're pretty desperate, you can make them psychos. And they've gone for the psycho option here. Valda, the Moonstone. Yeah, all the generals of the Empire of this game are named after gems. Don't ask me why. And that battle didn't go well for Seth, as he's just got stabbed in the stomach. Oh, by the way, whilst I'm on this, there's a video series, if you ever look at it, called Valta Won't Die, which basically, it's someone's using a game hack to modify Seth's class, so that Seth becomes incredibly powerful, but the main problem is, because that event's pre-programmed, there's no way Valta could be killed, so even when he hacked the game to make Seth a gigantic fire-breathing dragon, he's still lost, which is pretty funny. It's predictable, but funny to watch. Anyways, Seth is saying, I'm sorry for grabbing you from behind and dragging you out of the castle against your will, and Erika is saying, it's okay, I'm still alive, thanks. And like practically every single anime-sized RPG heroine ever made, she's apologising that the people protecting her received injuries. Mate, they're going to go on a battlefield, they're going to get injured some way. Sorry for sounding honest. And now she's worrying about King Fado, who is now dead, and Prince Emphraim, who we've already established is a douche. Okay, before anyone gets up my ass, he's not a douche. I'm just kind of over-exaggerating for comic effect, although I would say that you could question the logic of abandoning defending your home front so that you can attack the Gardo forces on the front line, so meh, oh well. Anyways, join me in the next part when we actually get to the gameplay. See you then.